Okay, let's take a break for a moment from jobs, because we're going to be covering this throughout the next 2 hours, because it's not every day that we get Ralph Schlosstein. He's the president and CEO of Evercore Partners, and also the former NYSE chairman Richard Grasso on together in our studio here. They can both talk about one of the biggest deals going on right now, right, which is the tussle for the New York Stock Exchange between the Nasdaq and ICE and Deutsche Börse. They both want the NYSE. Ralph's firm, if you may or may not know, is an advisor to the Nasdaq on this bid. Ralph, I just want to start with you, and I know there's some things that you obviously can't talk about, on this. I'm trying to say some things, Ralph, but overall, what some are saying, those who are in favor, right, of the NYSE and Deutsche Börse deal, is how can the Nasdaq, the NYSE, and ICE, how can they actually make New York and the NYSE and a combined entity more globally competitive than other exchanges around the world that are consolidating?
Well, first of all, the New York and NASDAQ combination would already be somewhat global. And second of all, I think we all have to recognize that New York and the U.S. has been losing out in the battle for listings globally. And it's not at all clear that a plan that has the largest exchange here in the U.S. owned by a non-U.S. entity isn't going to further that process. So I think a lot of this is about keeping America's capital markets competitive in the global economy.
Dick?
Well, I think the fundamental question that investors in NYSE Euronext are going to face is, do they accept this premium bid that Nasdaq ICE have put on the table, or do they accept the strategic vision of the Deutsche Börse NYSE management that says, over time, we're going to build a franchise, a global franchise that has enormous incremental value to those who stay with us. And I think, as Ralph said, the marketplace is global. The investors will have to make that decision. I don't think it's a matter of asking the question, how can New York be taken over by a non-U.S. player? I think that...
You don't think that's the question?
I don't think that's the appropriate question. I think the appropriate question is, how do you, as an exchange operator, globalize your franchise across geographies, across products, and most importantly, I think, in the back end of the business.
But, would it be easier, though, and Ralph, I know you disagree, but would it be easier, though, if you did pair up with an exchange overseas, then, to become more globally competitive for the NYSE?
Well, New York has already paired up with Euronext. Okay, Euronext was a player in multiple markets in Europe. I think the one piece missing from the equation, whether you look at the ICE Nasdaq bid or the Deutsche Börse consolidation, is what comes next. And what comes next must be a PAC Rim affiliation, whether that's Hong Kong, Tokyo, pick the venue. But to truly be a global market, you need all three of those arenas sitting under the same franchise. And I think that it's a very interesting prospect that we face as a U.S. capital market. Ralph raises the right question. So many IPOs have gone elsewhere because of regulation, whether it's securities regulation, whether it's Dodd-Frank, whether it's Sarbanes-Oxley. A lot of competitive capital markets have said, stay away from the United States. That's wrong.
Dick, I remember last time you were on the phone with us about this, you said that you thought that the price would get bid up and bid up on the NYSE, and that hasn't happened. I mean, the Deutsche Börse didn't come back, Ralph, right, with a higher bid. So, are you surprised to the extent that Duncan Unirout and the NYSE rejected it outright without trying to seek, I guess, more information from the Nasdaq, and now that it's turned hostile because of that?
Well, now you're getting into an area that we're not going to discuss on the air, the deal tactics and things like that. So,
okay.
Okay?
I would only offer, as a non-participant either side, the wisdom of Yogi Berra. It ain't over till it's over. And I think that there is still yet to be seen the real price that will be paid here.
Okay, then let me ask you a more, Ralph, on a final note, a just sort of overall question, though, on this. If If there was, in fact, a Nasdaq NYSE deal, though, does that leave the combined entities still vulnerable, do you think, to more acquisitions from other bigger domestic competitors?
I think I would actually go in the direction that Dick went, that ultimately the globally competitive exchanges will have a significant presence in the United States or North America, in Europe, and in Asia, and that in either case, whoever ultimately prevails here, this will be yet another step toward that ultimate goal. So it's not that one transaction is strategic and the other isn't. I think they are different strategic paths to what ultimately will probably be the same place.
Exactly, the same goal. All right. Ralph, Dick, thank you very much for